Now in this lecture what we are going to do is actually CCNA. CCNA means Cisco Certified Network Associate. It is a course provided by the Cisco, designed by Cisco. It is for the networking. Cisco is a networking. Cisco is actually a company who's making the devices, networking devices. Not only the devices, they make the softwares also. And for using their softwares and hardware, they they provide the certifications, and certification, that means the certified persons who's able to use their devices. Now we are doing this course based on that CCNA, based on the course designed by the Cisco, but basically it is actually used for the whole networking. It is designed for networking, and it is used for the networking, like everything what we saw and what we do in networking. Now doing this CCNA, it is not like you can only work on CCNA devices. There are other companies also which is making the devices. Other companies like Motorola, Hawaii, and Juniper. Juniper is the next second big company for the networking devices and software. So when you learn this course, it is actually the concept of networking you learn, and you also going to learn like how you are going to use the Cisco devices. But if you want to apply this, so you can apply on other devices also. Most of the devices are based on this Cisco or Cisco design or Juniper style. So once you learn this, then you're going to learn, you're going to do everything. You're going to handle all the other devices also. Now, when you talk about the certification provided by the Cisco, so it is actually, CCNA is actually divided into two certifications. So it is divided into two, that is ICND 1 and ICND 2, ICND 1 and ICND 2. So if you want to do the ICND 1, you can do the certification. After the training, you can do the certification of ICND 1. ICND 1 from the Cisco, it is a global certification, valid from the whole for the whole global. So it is valid everywhere in the world. Now what ICND 1 is actually the entry level certification, entry level course. Like whatever you have in ICND 1, it is actually the basics of networking and entry level networking information. Then you will get the ICND 2. This ICND 2 is like the advanced one for the networking, where you can see more advanced things, how you can handle the devices, configure the devices. So this certification is a certification provided by the Cisco, handled by the Cisco, and these certifications actually valid for only 3 years. Like if you do ICND 1, so it will be valid for 3 years. Then before expiring the certification, then you can do what? You can go for the ICND 2. This ICND 2 will be valid for the next 3 years. Now when you do the ICND 2, so your ICND 1 and ICND 2 will be valid for next 3 years. Now if you don't want to do two certifications, then you can directly go for CCNA. It is called Cisco Certified Network Associate. So if you don't want to do ICND 1 or ICND 2 separately, then you can directly go for CCNA, Cisco Certified Network Associate. This certification you can do directly, and what is the prerequisites for doing this CCNA is at least you should do the ICND 1 or nothing. You can directly go for CCNA. Now what I'm talking about CCNA, I'm talking about CCNA routing and switching. This certification or this course is called routing and switching. This is the basic certification for any networking kind of thing. So whatever you want to do in the networking, so you have to know this CCNA, that means routing and switching, related to routing and switching. But there is another streams of these certifications are also for the networking. There is another streams are also there. Now after this, like ICND 1 and ICND 2 routing and switching, you will be called Cisco Certified Network Associate, or you can directly do the Cisco Certified Network Associate. But there is a next level also. Remember, your certificate is going to be expire after 3 years. But before 3 years, before expiring, if you do CCNP, this is the next level in the Cisco certification. It is called CCNP. That means Cisco Certified Network Professional. Now this is the more advanced, the next level for the networking, and this is also the certification provided by the CCA Cisco. So when you do the CCNP before this expiry, so your certificate, your certification will be valid for next 3 years. Like your CCNP will be valid for next 3 years, and also your ICND1, ICND2, or you have done the CCNA. So all of them will be valid for the next 3 years. This is the next level. Now, if you want to go more than this, then the next level is CCIE. This is the next level for the certification of Cisco, and this is called CCIE, Cisco Certified Internetwork Engineer. Now this one is the next level, and if you want to do this certification, and if you did before expiring your CCNP certification, then you will become CCIE for the next 3 years, and the others, all the previous certification will also be valid for the next 3 years, you can say. Now all these certification I'm talking about routing and switching, but there are some other streams are also available for the networking. Like you can go for CCNA security. That means it is related to the security part. CCNA in security. Now CCNA in security you can do directly CCNA security. This is also, we can say, entry level certification for Cisco security things. Security is also very important in this world, so you can go for the CCNA security also. But for doing this CCNA security, CCNA in security, if you want to do this certification, then the basic prerequisite for this is to do the CCND at least. At least you have to do ICND1. So this is the requirement, this is the prerequisite for doing this certification. You cannot do it unless you have done the certification for ICND1. So ICND1 is the prerequisites, because in this you are going to learn the basic things. If you don't know anything about this, then you can't do the security part. And if you want to go in the security field, then you have CCNP in security, then you have CCIE in security, all these next levels for security, like CCNP, and then you have CCIE. Now just like the security part, you have different other streams of the certification also available, which you can also go, like CCNA in wireless network, CCNA in database, different, but all of them, they have to make sure, you have to make sure first you do the ICND1 at least, or at least CCNA. Otherwise you're not able to do those other streams of CCNA certifications. Then it is a good idea. Now if you ask me that what is the good idea to do this CCNA in security, you want to make a career in security, or CCNA wireless network or database or whatever, so I will suggest that you should do first CCNP in routing and switching, and then you can go for the security field or any other field. It will be a lot easier for you to understand the security things and other things, because till the CCNP routing and switching, you will understand most of the concept of the security, wireless or other streams. So this is what the certification thinks, and this is what Cisco certification, global certification. Now what we are going to do here in our course is this ICND 1 and 2, because this is combined, it is called CCNA, and this is the base of your networking career. So if you want to make a career in the networking, then you should know this. This is the basic thing, and this is what it is related to Cisco. So we are going to see how we can work on Cisco devices. But in a world you may have different devices also, but the concept will be same. Only some devices like Juniper, if you go for the Juniper, so commands and the way you do the thing will be different, but you will do the same thing what we do here. Now if you want to know more about these certifications, then you can go directly on the site of the Cisco site, Cisco certification site, and you can see what it shows. This is the Cisco site. This is the official Cisco site. For the certification and training, you can see here. This is what the entry level thing. It is actually CCENT, which is we call CCND, ICND. Now ICND it is CCNT, like entry level certification. Now this is the associate levels, where you have different streams. Like for example, we know CCNA routing and switching, which we are going to see. But you have other levels also, like CCDA, CCNA in cloud, CCNA in collaboration network, CCNA in data center, industrial, security, service provider, wireless. These are the different associate levels. But for doing other levels, you should know first CCNA routing and switching. Then the next level is professional level, that is called CCNP level, that is professional, P for professional, where you have CCNP in routing and switching, but we have other levels or other streams are also there: wireless, service provider, security, data center, collaboration, cloud. DP is actually designing professional, like how to design the network. Then this is the expert level. This is expert E, like CCDE, CCIE, CCIE in collaboration, data center, routing and switching, security, service provider, wireless. Now you have another level also, that is what architect. This is the highest level of architect accreditation available for the recognized the architect expert. Now this is actually the single thing, and this is the architect of network. So this is what the CCNA certifications like, and also, like suppose if I want to do the CCNA's routing and switching, I say I want to do this. So it will say that you can do this directly. What is the required exam? You can do this. And what is the prerequisite for this? There is no prerequisites. Like you can do directly this CCNA. Now if I want to say I want to do the CCNA security, so it says that you can do CCNA security, but prerequisites are there, like you have to do valid CCENT, CCNA routing and switching. So you have to do the CCNA routing and switching for doing the security part. Otherwise you can't do this, or at least the entry level CCENT, that is ICND 1. So any of these, if I try any of these, so they all need what? First to complete this CCNA in routing and switching, or at least this entry level certification. Now this is the certification, but for doing the certification you have to take the training. So what we are going to do is ICND 1 and ICND 2 for this course. And for exam, you talk about how the exam is going to be for the certification for the CCNA. So the exam is called multi-choice question, so multi-choice objective type. That means you have to give the question. You will be giving the question with multiple options. So you have to choose the right answer, like 1 or 2. sometime more than one answers are there, and you will get one scenario based question also, like you have to configure something on that. You will get the virtualized router or switch there in the exam, and you have to configure something onto it. So that is how the exam goes. Exam is online, and you can do it from anywhere in the world. Now, these are all objective exams, but this ICCIE, this is the top level, and in this you have one lab exam. Lab exam, that means you have to give the lab. In the lab, you have to do configure something, the task. So this one is only have a lab exam. Otherwise, it has also the written exam, so you can do the written exam anywhere. But these other exams are the online exams, are the objective exams, exams with the multiple choice questions. So this is how this is how it is, and this is why it is called ICND1, ICND2. It is based on routing and switching, which we are going to do. We are going to start with the ICND1 with the basic things, and then we are going to go for the ICND2 also. So computer networking, which is we are going to see, it is actually the ICND1 part. Now we are beginning with the introduction of computer network. So what is computer network? So computer network is a group of devices connected with each other through a transmission medium such as wire, cables, etc. And these devices can be computers, printers, scanners, fax machines, and any other devices which needs to be connected. Now, the purpose of having computer network is to send and receive data stored in other devices or the network. These devices are often referred to as node. Remember, the devices which is connected to the network is not important for us because we are the network administrator or we are learning the networking. We are doing the networking here. So what kind of devices is connected, which is not that important for us. It is server, it is client, it is printer, scanner, fax. Now those every devices which is connected to the internet, we can call all of them as a nodes. So we can consider them that these are the devices, these are the nodes, and these wanted to have a network, then they are connected to network. So for us it is refers to as a nodes. The computer network is telecommunication channel using which we can share data with other computers or devices connected to the same network, and it is also called data network. The best example for the network is internet. So internet is actually what globally connected network. Globally connected network, that means globally all the devices are connected together, and we can access the other devices from the other side of the world. We can access them directly, and actually when you are accessing the sites, you are accessing the internet. What do you do on internet? Basically you access websites on internet. So you are accessing the website is actually you are accessing the server who's hosting the website. So you are accessing that server which is hosting that website. So that means what? You are accessing the another machine which is connected to network. That machine is also connected to network, the server which is hosting the site, and we also connect to the network, to the internet network, and we access the site. So basically what? It is connected. The internet is globally connected devices, where all the devices are connected together globally. It is spread all over the world. Now computer network does not mean a system with one control unit connected to multiple other systems as its slaves. That is distributed system, not computer network. Now if you feel like it is a centralized thing, like there is a one server is there which is connecting everyone through each other, so it is not like that. It is not like a computer. It is a distributed system. It is called computer network. Like for example internet, many of you feel that internet is like something, some server is giving everyone an internet. It is not like that. Internet is basically a network. It is connected, like all the devices are connected through each other, through the network, through the wireless or cable network. They are connected through each other, with each other. So there is no centralized way of controlling the internet. That is why you may have heard about it, that internet, we can't control internet. We are not able to control internet. Why? Because there is no centralized thing there. It is actually a network of devices. It is not like a centralized machine who is providing the network. All the devices are only help you to connect to the network. Like suppose when you get the internet connection from your service provider, so your service provider is only helping you to connect the internet. It is not handling, it is not giving you anything. It is not giving you anything, it is only helping you to connect to the internet, connect to the worldwide network, so that you can access the other devices. So we have service providers, but we can't control it. We don't have any centralized device to manage it. So very simple network means two machines are there. The one machine can be a sender and the other machine will be the receiver. So one machine sends the messages, other machine will receive the messages by using the network. So the machines are, what type of machines are there? These are not important for us. These are all nodes for us. But what and how they are sending a message from one machine to other machine is important, because it is the job of the network. It uses the protocols, it uses the protocol, that means software, it uses the hardware, that is the wired and devices. So the complete network is what the software and hardware, or the medium we can say, which is used. Now the network must be able to meet certain criteria, and these are like performance. Like it can be measured in the following ways, like transmit time, that is the time taken to travel a message from one device to another. Then the response time, that is defined as the time elapsed between inquiry and response. Like once a sender will send the inquiry to the receiver, and receiver will send the response, that what is the situation, what is the status. Then efficiency of the software, number of users, and capability of connected hardware. It defines the performance. Then reliability, that means it decides the frequency at which network failure take place. More the failures are, less is the network reliable. So if your network is failing multiple times or continuously more times, then what, it is not that reliable. Reliable network, that means it must be stable. Then scalability, that means it defines how easily you can add more nodes in a network and extend the network if required. So when we say scalability, that means easily expandable network. That means when we want to add more devices, then we can add it easily. Data sharing, that means one of the reason, this is what data sharing, that is the reason what we use the computer network, and it is to share the data between different systems connected with each other through the transmission media. Now backup means a computer network must have a central server that keeps the backup of all the data that is to be shared over the network, so that in case of failure, it should be able to recover the data faster. So backup is important for the data. We are doing the networking only for the data, and the data must be important. So the network must have a server which should take the backup of those data, so that it can be easily recovered. Now software and hardware compatibility. Computer network must not limit all the computers in a computer network to use same software and hardware. Instead, it should allow the better compatibility between the different software and hardware configurations. Now security is also very important. That means a computer network should be secure, so that the data transmitting over a network should be safe from unauthorized access. Also the sent data should be received as it is the receiving node, which means there should not be any loss of data during the transmission. Now, what is the computer architecture? So the computer architecture means is a design in which all computers in a computer network are organized, and an architecture defines how the computer should get connected to get a maximum advantage of the computer network, such as better response time, security, scalability. The two most popular computer architectures are peer-to-peer and client-server architecture. There is one more architecture is there, it is called collaborative computing. Now, peer-to-peer connection, peer-to-peer network means what? In this architecture, all the computers in the network are connected with every computer in the network, and every computer in the network use the same resources as other computers, and there is no central computer that act as a server. Rather, all computers act as a server for the data that is stored in them. In Windows environment, it is called workgroup network. In Windows, it is called workgroup, where all the machines are the administrators. They don't have any restriction on each other. They are all their own administrators, and they do what they can do, share the data with each other. Now, when they share the data, so we can say like sharing machine will be the server which is serving the data, and the receiving machine will be act like a client which is receiving the data. So sending the data is like a server, it can be called as a server, and the receiving machine can be called as a client. But in workgroup environment, it is not like the server is only one server there, centralized server. Every machine can be a server. That means when machine A is sending the data, that means machine A is a server. When machine C will send the data, then it will called as a server. So every machine will be called as a server and client when they are serving the data and other machines are receiving the data. So it is a workgroup environment. In easy way, it is called peer-to-peer network, where all the machines connected to the network only to share the resources and data, and they are not having any control on each other. We can say the internet is actually a peer-to-peer network, but it is not in a single small area. It is spread all over the world, where you don't have any control on any other devices. You can just only use the resources and data from the other machines. So when you are accessing the sites from the other server, on the internet, you are actually accessing the server there. You are accessing the machine from the internet. Now there is another architecture. It is called client server architecture. Now in this client server architecture, it is a central computer act as a hub and server all the requests from client computers. Now it is called server because it is providing the services, it providing the different services. So all the shared data is stored in the server computer, which is shared with the client computer when a request is made by the client computer. And all the communication take place through the server computer. For example, if a client computer wants to share the data with the other client computer, then it has to send the data to server first, and then the server will send the data to other client. So in this, there is a centralized machine here, and in this centralized machine will call as a server, and it is going to serve for all the clients. So if the client wants to get the data, it will get it from the server. And if suppose this client 1 wants to send the data to client 2, then it will send the data directly. It cannot send the data directly to the client. It will send the data to server, and then the server will send the data to the client. In workgroup, every machine can send data directly to everyone. It is a client server architecture where we have a server, centralized server, which is giving all the services to the clients. Now this is in Windows, it is called domain environment. This is called domain environment, where we have the domain controller, which is actually controlling the whole domain and all the client machines in the domain. Then we have one more architecture, that is called collaborative computing. Now this is a new model called collaborative computing, and also it is called cooperative processing. Now it is becoming an important trend, and this collaborative computing is a synergetic type of distributed computing, where networked computer actually shares processing abilities. Instead of simply communicating data between computers, collaborative computing uses 2 or more computers to accomplish the same processing task. So basically, it is in easy way, in Windows environment or in any environment, it is actually called clusters. This is what the clusters, like in Windows, we have load balancing cluster, failover cluster. This is actually a collaborative computing architecture. What we do here, to do the same task, we use multiple different servers, and we take multiple different servers to do the simple task. Like for example, we are having a site, we are hosting a website, and we don't want that website to go down anytime. So what, that website, if we host it on a single server and a single server goes down, the site will go down. So what we do, we use the collaborative computing architecture, and what we do, we combine 2-3 servers and we host a single site on them. We can use the load balancing collaborative, we can use the failover also. In that, if suppose the one server goes down, then again the other servers will take over. So still the site will be available through the other server. This is what we do in Windows. It is called failover cluster or load balancing cluster. So it is called collaborative computing architecture, where we have combined multiple machines to do the single task, to provide the redundancy, to provide the performance, to provide the load balancing. Then types of network. So computer network is a group of computers connected with each other through a transmission medium such as cable or wire. Now communication network can be of following 5 types. Now these 5 types are personal area network, local area network, campus area network, metropolitan area network, or wide area network. Now these are based on, remember, these are based on area and ownership. Now these types are divided based on area and ownership. The area which they cover and the ownership. Based on the ownership, we call them personal area network, local area network, campus area network, or metropolitan area network, or wide area network. Let's say for example, when we say about the personal area network. Now personal area network, that means this is a computer network for interconnecting devices, like centered on an individual person's workplace. We can say like a small desk. So on your table, when you spread the network within the reach of your hand, it can be called as a personal area network. The PAN provides data transmission among devices such as computers, smartphone, tablets, and personal digital assistants. PANs can be used for communicating among the personal devices themselves, or for connecting to a higher level network and the internet, where one master device takes up the role as a gateway, and a PAN may be wireless or carried over wired interface such as USB. So we can say in a small area, remember it is based on area. So if you are using the network in a small area, in your table, or you can say in your small room, if you are spreading the network, you are having a network, so you can say it's a personal area network. Now remember, when I am saying table, so when you are having a network on your small table, or on your table, so maybe on the other table somebody else having their own PAN network. Now why I am saying, and how we can differentiate, because of the ownership. Your table, your network, you are the owner, that means it is your PAN. On the other machine, other user's table, whatever it is having on the network, whatever the network it is having, so it is their network and their PAN. So there is 2 different PANs, we can say. So based on the small area and the ownership, it is called PAN. The next type is LAN. LAN means local area network. It is actually larger than the PAN, but not larger, not more large. This is the local area network, is a group of computers connected with each other in a small place such as school, hospital, apartment. And LAN is secure because there is no outside connection with the local area network. Thus the data which is shared is safe on the local area network and can't be accessed outside. So we call it LAN. It is for the small network, like for a school or office, or a small office, or we can say the hospital or apartment. And it is safe because it is not connected to any outside network. So outside users, if they want to use their network, these LAN, they have to connect it. So we can say it is secure. Now LAN, due to their small size, are considerably fast, and their speed can range anywhere from 10 to 100 Mbps, or it can go up to 1 Gbps also. LANs are not limited to wire connection. There is a new evolution to LANs, and that allows local area network to work on a wireless connection also. So not only the cable network, we can not only the connected these wired network, we can go for the wireless network also nowadays, and we can call it a LAN network. So it is like a small network, a small range. We can say up to 100 meters. Up to 100 meters when you spread the network, like for the one office, for the one room, or for the floor, for the single floor, or for the whole building, even you can say for the whole building also. But remember, the ownership is important. If suppose in a single floor of the building you are having a LAN network connected, and the ownership of that LAN network for the one person. Now in the second floor, if you have another LAN connected, but the owner of that LAN is different, so we can say we have two LANs, one LAN network in a first floor and the second LAN network on the second floor. But suppose if the owner of both the floors are same, then we can say this is the single LAN. So because it is a small area and because it is owned by the single owner, so we can say it is a single LAN. But if it is owned by the different owners, then we can say these are different LANs. But LAN network is not more than 100 meters. So if you want to go for the more size, big size than the LAN, then we have CAN. It is called campus area network. Campus area network is larger than a local area network LAN, since it may span multiple buildings within a specific area. And most CANs are comprised of several LANs connected via switches and routers that combine to create a single network. And they operate similar to LANs in that users with the access to the network, that is wired or wireless, can communicate directly with other systems within the network. Now when we talk about CAN, so it is basically a LAN. It is not a different type. It is basically a LAN network. Like LAN network we have on a school, then we have another building there in the campus, and in that hostel also we have different LAN on these different buildings. Now when we connect all these, like this library, we have different LAN here, but when is connected together, so it is bigger than the LAN, but not bigger than the WAN. So it can say like it is a campus area network which is spread all over the campus. So we can say it is a CAN, but it is actually what? It is actually a LAN which is connected to a larger area than the LAN network. Multiple buildings and blocks of buildings are connected together. Then we have MAN. MAN means Metropolitan Area Network. This MAN network covers larger area by connecting connection LANs to a larger network of computers. Now remember, again the MAN is also a same like it is a LAN, but it is connected with the larger area than the LAN within the whole metropolitan city. So in a metropolitan area network, various local area networks are connected with each other through telephone lines. The size of the metropolitan area network is larger than the LAN and smaller than the WANs. A MANs cover the larger area of a city or town. So if suppose, like for example, we have Airtel network. So all over the city we have the Airtel connections. Airtel internet, we are using Airtel connections. So it is called, we can say it is what, a metropolitan area network for the Airtel, because the ownership is Airtel. We have MTN also. So if we have a different ownership, then it is what, a different metropolitan area. Now metropolitan area is also an extended version of LAN. That means small LANs are connected together in the whole city. So we can say what, it is a metropolitan area network. So it is actually, basically the structure for the MAN is like owned by the single organizations, but locally it is managed and maintained by the different small vendors. So different vendors manage there for the locally as a LAN, but combined it is called as a metropolitan area network. So simply we can say it is also a LAN, but larger than the LAN. Now The last thing is WAN. Now when we call it WAN, that means it is a WAN. WAN means it's a wide area network. Now the wide area network provides a long distance transmission of data, and the size of the WAN is larger than the LAN and MAN, and a MAN can cover country, continent, or even a whole world. Like internet. Internet connection is an example of WAN. Other examples of WAN are mobile broadband connections such as 3G, 4G, etc. Now when we talk about WAN, that means WAN is a wide area network. Now when we say internet, so internet is also a WAN network, but it is actually a public WAN. Public WAN, that means anyone can connect it. Anyone can use it, and there is no restriction there. Everyone, that means it is a public, it is kind of a public network. Now there is another WAN. When we call it WAN, WAN means what? It is a private network. Like if suppose we have a company in one country, like for example we are having offices in UK, and then we are having an offices in US, we are having an offices in Asia, South Asia, Africa. Now we want to connect them together. So when we want to connect them together, so when we connect them together, so we will call it like it is a WAN network. And WAN network for our own. That means it is only for us. Ownership is of a single person, and only they can use the network. So they can say it is their WAN network. Some other people exploit the network, they will also exploit the network, so they will also call that this is their WAN. This is our WAN, that is their WAN, so multiple WANs are there. But internet is not a private WAN, it is actually a public WAN. Everyone can use it. Now how we will connect them together? So we have to put the cable from our UK offices to US offices to South Asia offices to the Africa offices. Now you will say, is it possible for us to put the cable from here to there, from US to UK? No, it is not possible for us. We are not that big company, or maybe the big company can also not do that. So it is actually what? It is actually ISP. They are some service providers. What they do, they have already they have already spread the cable all over the world, connected the world with the cables. Now you will say where? So cables are going through under the sea. So cables are going through under the sea from Asia to America to US to America to Africa to Australia. It is connected through the cable under the sea. So they have already have the cables there. So what we do as a company, if we want to connect the offices from US to UK, so we go to ISPs and tell them to buy the lease line, so that we can connect the offices from these two different region or different country or different continent. So we buy the lease lines. Lease lines are very expensive because it is a dedicated line for us, like only we can use it, nobody else can use. So depend on the speed of the network line and the distance of the line, it costs the money. So based on that, the speed will be defined based on what the money we put. So it is what the WAN lease line given by the ISP. So we can't put the cables, already the cables are there, and we just use those cables. It is called the lease line provided by the ISPs. So this is what the wide area network, and also those ISPs they also provide the internet connections. So for the internet, they don't manage anything, they just connect you to the internet through the WAN network through the same lines. But for the lease line, they will give you the separate line for you, like only the line only used by you, and you will only send the data, nobody else can see that data. But for the internet, it is open network, they give you the open network. So it is what the WAN network, and these are the different types of network we have. So we have we have seen today what is the network, and what are the different types of network we have. and what is the computer architecture we have.